Welcome back, guys. Catch Jiu-Jitsu podcast. This is Meet a Coach, Priit Mihkelson, coming from Estonia. We've known each other for 12 years, I guess. Maybe the third or fourth time you've taught some stuff either at my gym or at your gym. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this anyway. So nice to be in Kaohsiung.
Maybe it's your podcast.
I don't know.
I guess for me, selfishly, I just want to talk about some coaching stuff. I get the feeling that maybe no one else will be interested, or very few people will be interested in the things that I'm interested in. But I just want to pick your brain on some ideas, some topics. I think we certainly share some ideas, and maybe there's some things that we don't.
It is your podcast, so nobody else has to listen to this.
Just for me, yeah.
Yeah. So
you started 20 odd years ago, you said, right? Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, kind of like we started 2000s, kind of ish. So I think it's a smaller group, we trained. So I would guess 25 years being in a game. So yeah, information was scarce in that sense. But around that time we started we had with Sambo knowledge, and then it became more Jiu-Jitsu and all the DVDs and stuff. But we started, I think, more with Sambo.
There were some Sambo guys around Estonia at that time?
I was a Wing Chun guy and second student of the Wing Chun teacher. And then the first student was from Eastern Estonia. He was a former Sambo guy. And then I don't know how long we did Wing Chun together, but he was like, yeah, Wing Chun is good in stand-up. And then you need like a groundwork. And I was like, okay, And I think that he was a little bit older to me. And then he was the guy that also did some, no holds barred fights in Eastern Estonia. I know that he was doing kind of like MMA-ish stuff, actually. And I think he moved to Wing Chun because he considered that better. So I kind of moved back the other way. And so he was showing us Sambo. I remember some seminar, like we had, the 2x2 mats or 2.5 by 2 meter mats. And we put them like 6 together, and then we had a seminar. And then he was teaching us, the close guard, squeezing the kidneys,
Yeah.
And then armbar probably, Achilles, those things. And we were like, whoa, we enjoyed it. And in a way we I was also doing karate back then, and kind of like, or Wing Chun, it's all messy history back then. But we had a big club that did other martial arts also, and we were part of that. And then we just, I think, kept practicing a little bit. And then it just took some more official form. And some were basement schools, Soviet schools back then, they had shooting ranges. Yeah?
Of course.
Of course. And we were training like I guess, when schools, they have gatherings, when they have plays and stuff, and, bigger hall. And we trained there Wing Chun. And then other days we trained in a shooting range on shitty mats and whatever we would find. Jiu-Jitsu, and then finally we had enough of that, and then we just went to the Jiu-Jitsu. So we trained all weird places, and that's kind of how messy it was and how it started.
Why? So if you're training Sambo in some sort of grappling before Jiu-Jitsu, what drew you towards, we'll say, Jiu-Jitsu rather than the Sambo path?
Probably also around that time, we also watched UFC 1, and like everybody at that time. UFC 1 to 4, I guess, Royce Gracie, and then Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and stuff, and we were like, who is that guy? So I didn't see like Sambo guys fighting, like doing good, and so that kind of maybe was the initiative, that those VHS tapes. VHS is not many people even know, maybe youngsters, what is a VHS tape anymore, but that was that, and yeah, and also I think there's a time when there's a lot of torrents, we got everything, and it was mostly about Brazilian stuff and very little about Sambo stuff, that the Brazilian style was dominating. So I think that, and then I think he did, it really was one, maybe it was even second one, but I think we moved on with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff because it was more into...
Well, the evidence started pointing towards it being better, right? Ironically now, of course, if you started looking at MMA now, you'd think, well, Sambo's must be a better hard to do for MMA.
And I know we sparred with Sambo guys, and they broke both of my legs because I crossed ankles, and they just And then I had 2 weeks hard walking. It's not like, broken bone, but it's just, we went there to spar with them because there was not many people to spar back in the day, just us, 5 people. And then we just went to judo guys and went to sambo guys, big fights. They didn't know who we were, jiu-jitsu, So it was like a really interesting time. And so I remember, that we had like just spats, weird, shorts, like Valadudo. Yeah. It looks super weird these days, just like underwear, and you have rush guard, and then you just go like, and then so I crossed my ankles for a split second, and that was a lesson I never forget. But so kind of sambo was not so much ground, it was more throwing and stuff. So somehow we liked the ground more. I don't know why. And then we have the information and DVDs and all we get our hands up was all jiu-jitsu basically, bus route and videos. Mm-hmm. They were all like jiu-jitsu basically. It wasn't like, oh, this is from sambo. So maybe also that. So
I wonder, in Scotland there wasn't sambo, but there was good judo within the UK. The judo was good. But I always sort of thought it looks a lot of standing, throwing, and for some reason that didn't appeal to me the same way. It does more so now. Now I find it very beautiful, but at the time, for some reason, I thought I really want to be down here on this dirty, sweaty mat or in the basement.
Yeah, kind of like maybe even that the Wing Chun we did stand up, and I had my ideas. What is a stand up, and somehow when I remember that when I saw groundwork, I really liked it. And I don't know why, because I know some people watch it, like they don't like, it's weird, like we guys doing in the ground, and I know I liked it. And I don't know why, but I kind of separated, because I wasn't like I did karate, but I wasn't the guy that wanted to hit in the head. And then judo and wrestling and stuff wasn't that appealing, because I was more martial art, So judo, wrestling was more like a sport, and then whatever it was. But so we didn't do it before like a wrestling and judo stuff. It didn't appeal. Where I rolled with them, I went to judo gyms because we didn't have nobody to spar, and they kind of kicked my ass until the purple belt. Because if they grab you, just like
side control pressure.
Yeah, it's like it's really hard. Then purple belt, kind of like I had my guard already, so I could really spar with them. So they were not passing anymore. But so we went to them, but so they never kind of like, because they did also very few groundwork, so it wasn't like, oh, show me what you guys do. And sambo guys, from my knowledge, they all fought in judo because there was access to the world. And we had sambo guys also, but it was just like maybe independent stuff, and it was more moving towards the judo, and not like sambo was big. Sambo was smaller, and then judo kind of, I don't know, it took over, but I don't think sambo ever was big when I was young. Like it just, judo kind of went bigger as Olympic sport and stuff. But I think Russian times when I was a kid, maybe my dad and stuff, maybe judo and sambo were the same. I don't know, because the guy that's like the judo father, I think he was a former sambo guy. So, and then they did both, kind of like you just fought in different rules. But so I just knew so very little about stuff back then, just jiu-jitsu and like whatever. So now, just compared to what I know and the different sports and stuff, what they can give, it's so different. So I was so in the Asian arts, like Pakwa, Tai Chi, Wing Chun. It wasn't like, oh, sports, So
I think the longer you do this sort of thing, you realize there's probably value in most of these things. I think everyone that starts, we'll say jiu-jitsu or MMA, you start to write off all the old traditional martial arts, thinking, well, it's not working in MMA. But you watch it for long enough, you start to see almost everything coming up within MMA.
Yeah, now I've done Aikido stuff, and now I can wrist lock. I can wrist lock people, because I have we call it like a delivery system to just mess with you. I can do my Aikido if I want, or even like bongzaos, like with Wing Chun and stuff. You can, like duck unders and stuff. They're like throw-bys. They're all like bongzaos. So, and I'm like, it's not like they actually work, but they work differently in life. But they just don't work like this that they were told. A lot of things that I've done, like taking an enemy force and then guiding it and pushing it back, you do it every time in jiu-jitsu. So actually now I know what they were preaching about, but they couldn't teach, but their philosophy was that. But in jiu-jitsu, you live it basically.
It's hard to feel it without it being live. I'll say one of the best natural hand fighters I ever came across was a Wing Chun guy. It's just amazing. Like I couldn't beat them in a hand fight. That's usually a big advantage for me.
I still enjoy I left Wing Chun because of politics, and it's a pyramid scheme in Estonia, whatever I was connected to. But, if I see a wooden dummy, I have to touch it. I don't hate that, but just like it's just and whatever the trapping, it's super cool how they, everything is like two arms, one arm, and how they release the grips, and I'm like, shit, but it's just the way they train and stuff, and the distance, you just can't stay in that distance, but the for self-defense stuff, and how people wrist fight, and it's like really cool stuff how they leverage wise and move, and so there's something to learn, but just you need I think like a live delivery system,
When it was a coach who I was training with, he was training jiu-jitsu, and after feeling his hand for him, I'm like, this is interesting. I'd love to come along to your class. He's like, oh, for like 3 years it would be super boring. It's like 3 years. That's a big commitment of being super boring.
So that's why what we did. I always tell that story. We had why I changed. Also, one reason is to jiu-jitsu. When we did Wing Chun, we had bloody Thursdays. Like, I don't know, maybe our timeline was a year or something, and every month, like Thursday, whatever, we just put the helmets and grind, and then and then grapplers had insane advantage. I think it was even wooden floors, by the way. And I don't remember that if there was mat, it wasn't really big mat space, and we went to wooden floors anyway. But there we saw what works, then if tons out and stuff. And the theory was you have to do it, 10 years to make it work. And then you see a double leg, basically just see it, and then you can do it, and then it works. And we were like having that confusion, like I can see it, and I can do it, and now this requires 10 years. And that's already also pushed me a little bit away from that just people who saw stuff, and grapplers, insane advantage. But that was fun time, because what worked was clinch, knees, mount. And so that was like you tested, we talked about it, you A/B testing in a gym with the method. We were like a little bit fighting, like which works, and finally you can't anymore ignore the evidence that this is faster, and then as much as I love it, like maybe I have the will to do it 10 years, but I can't force people to do it 10 years, they don't have that passion, maybe what I have. So it will be like a couple of students going that direction, and it will be like maybe there's not money enough, that I cannot do it for a living. I need a group, that, and that's for most people, they're not willing to suffer like for that 10 years, even if it will work, whatever, So that's also the shift, and then the kind of like jiu-jitsu took over and MMA, whatever. So a lot of weird stuff like nudged me towards the away. It's just as soon as you had a filter, why you're doing this, and then it became really clear that which one I want to have. So.
Yeah, but within your purpose of it, I guess if people want to do something like Wing Chun or Aikido, where it's kind of dance, and you could argue Aikido looks beautiful in some ways, but if the purpose is it for it to be anywhere realistic, it becomes only beauty and no purpose.
Yeah, so I have no issues with people doing Aikido. It's just the claim they make. If somebody does like, oh, this is for real fighting, then we go like, I don't know if I'm these days even, I'm soon 49, so I don't know if I like engage with that. I'm like, but I was 30. We actually did one dojo storm back in the day because of the Dim Mak guy. And he was saying that he could like beat us, and I was I think
That's the death touch, right?
Yeah, I was an instigator that I think me and 4 guys went to the dojo storm, and so it was fun. If you want to talk about it, it's a funny story, but
you're still here, so the death touch.
Yeah, they didn't touch me because I just had B hepatitis, so they knew about it. We had to disclose like in a way that have you been ill? So I just survived or recovered from B hepatitis, and they said if they touch me, I'm dead. I was like, okay, then we have 4 other guys. And then basically they were like, we didn't.
The other 4 guys survived?
We didn't fight because they said we should have come earlier, do the warm up. We would be, I guess, energetically ready. And then they don't know what diseases we have. So if they touch some, like line, meridian, whatever they call them, so it could, your liver can shut down or whatever. So I was like, we go to some Southeast university, Tartu University, and do all the medical testing you need. We pay it. We come with a paper back and say we're healthy. Can we fight? We do it. And then the coach said like only for $1 million. And after that we were like, well, we don't have that. And they stopped. After that they stopped talking to us in forums, and we usually had like really intense exchanges. And after that they didn't do it anymore because we were like, I don't know if I was stupid, but I had enough. It wasn't like right away. I was like, I don't know, months, year, whatever. And I was like, hell no, I'm gonna go, And that guy was the guy, the no touch guy and stuff. And I actually have done one dojo storm that I don't know if I do it again. Is it nice or not? But back in I was 25, between 30, kind of like aggressive about it, and so that's I don't know if I'm proud of that, but that was like a yeah. I've done one Dodger Storm, so anyway.
But that's not a traditional one. That is a death touch guy. That takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, so it still exists and stuff, but I guess it draws certain people, but and I don't engage anymore in that.
Ponytails. They always have ponytails.
I had a ponytail when I was Wing Chun.
You should have been there.
So we had a like a that what's the wrap? How do they call
Your
it?
hair braid.
Yeah, like I had a small like a rat tail.
All right.
Yeah.
You could use this as a weapon.
No, it's just like what's that long there. But there was a stage I also blonded my hair. No, and blonded my hair and had like a rat tail or something. So that was interesting stages in my life, and picking a fights, being a little bit aggressive. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think getting beat up must be one of the worst things in life. But getting beat up by a man with a ponytail makes things a lot worse.
Yeah, I don't know if I had a ponytail when I did grappling because it wasn't useful
Pretty
anymore.
inconvenient, yeah.
Yeah, but in Wing Chun with all this, this art, I could have it actually, and I don't know, was it cool? Where I got the idea, I don't know that because mullet and stuff, it was a thing people had and I don't know. I'm also like an era from Steven Seagal, so he had some kind of ponytail or whatever. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm happy I don't have it anymore. So weird.
And let me pick your brain on some coaching stuff. I think methodology-wise, we're pretty close, but I'm sure you have some interest, as do I, in like basically having a culture of people within the gym that are all sort of helping each other, being great partners, being making each other as good as they can be. Is there anything within your gym you think you do that enables them to be better partners to each other?
Interesting question. What enables them to be better partners?
And I heard during your seminar you were encouraging people things like find a way to lose. I thought that was an interesting way of putting it. Where
yeah, in that sense, yeah. So I emphasize those things a lot, and I think we have still room to grow what comes to culture, but I'm pretty okay with how it looks. And then like I'm always talking about it. Yeah, find a way to lose, find a challenge point, how to roll with beginners. It's just always social aspect. Like let them dominate you, and then maybe you earn the dominate. Gotta dominate them back. Just not why do trash beginners. And like always, I don't see myself like that, but people consider me very straightforward, and I'm blunt. So when people know when something happens, I will say it to you, and not maybe in a polite way, but I'm not gonna curse. But also that I'm not saying a leader, but they know I will keep everything in check. That I don't tolerate that stuff. That if you're like being an asshole, I will call you out. Even sometimes. I don't know. It's good or bad publicly. Like, just don't do it, But that's why maybe I've changed, and there's different methods to manipulate that. But I don't have like spazziness and stuff. I'm pretty happy overall compared to what I've seen around different clubs, whatever, how we roll. And so we don't like gym champions, that if you want to compete, go compete. There's a competition or performance class. So I think we're overall pretty chill. And I also, why I say it, we have some bigger guys, like 2 meters, and they're over 100 kilos. And I always tell the story that he just got a blue belt also. He's like almost 100 kilos, almost 2 meters. And I told him like 2 months ago, I'm like the guy, I'm very happy that you're not stupid, because he could just murder anybody, just like, but he's like, using his weight. And I think there I see that I've done something right, that bigger guys, they can roll with everybody and they had a good roll. And so that's why so find a way to lose. And just overall why we're training, are we training to get better? We emphasize that we want to get better and not we want to win, So, and also what I do, I don't know if you were here when I talk about when it's doing CLA, what I really don't like with CLA terminology, also in Estonian language, is winning and losing. I think it's just very polarizing, and then everybody wants to win, So there should be like more mellow way of saying that. So what I'm using is find like a win and lose. But I always talk about like building the artificial sandbox with rules, constraints. There's artificial sandbox we study. And so if you're here corner and then the winning is there, the point is not to go there. The point is go like find like every grand, like, you know, and then that's the mindset I also want to like just find. Yes, the winning is the goal that you have like a beacon somewhere, but trying like, you know, what's the sandbox, what I can go, where I can dig, you know, how deep this sand goes.
Explore and feel as much as you can about what we're doing.
So I'm emphasizing that a lot and find a way to lose. And what about that, you know? So that I'm trying to emphasize so people will search more. It's like, otherwise winning and losing, it becomes very competitive. You need that sometimes, but also for a gym recreational, I need them to explore. So that also I think pushes like this kind of culture that it's okay to mess up, you know? And I'm just searching and I got caught, okay, I'll search again. So they're not avoiding the losses. So I'm always like, this losing and winning is a very bad word. And then I'm using also this, that also always people that can relate to it, that like, and if you compete, you lose. But sometimes, you know, first loss, second round loss, who cares? But sometimes that loss pushes you forward a lot. Now it's like, oh, shit, now I'm going to eat well, I'm going to train because I don't want to feel that again.
Got to change something. Clearly.
Yeah, but how is that a loss? You know, that is like really life-changing, you know? And so it's like, it's not losing, you know? So in a class, I haven't found a better word, you know? Because it's still losing and winning, you know, you lost the game, I won the game. But I try to change the meaning of this and what is losing actually in our gym. So it's like, I always liked what Matt Thornton said. I think he said it, at least I've heard it from him. Gym has to be a place, so it's safe to be vulnerable. So, and that's what I'm trying to also like produce, you know, like you guys have to. And then, you know, it's not like always perfect. I messed up then, you know, and but that's what I'm trying to push. So yeah, those ideas that you mentioned, I'm trying to like have an effect, find different ways of saying this, you know.
It sounds like you're trying to make a room full of curious grapplers, if you like.
Yeah. So find a way to lose.
Curious, you'll like, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could. If my arm was here, I wonder if I could still escape, that sort of thing.
And also, I find in some ways I'm a good role model, some ways not. But people know me for staying in side control bottom endlessly, you know? And this is a little bit me leading by example, you know? Like, I could easily be top, you know? But I'm like in a bottom and trying to survive and do stuff. So that also is like when I roll, you know, these days I roll less because it's kind of like a phase in my life. I roll more in camps and stuff and whatever, and home I roll less at the moment. So we'll see when it happens. I want to go back because I'm lifting already and, you know, getting my life back together a bit mentally also. And so I in that sense, I'm a good example also the way I roll in a gym. If I roll in a past more, because people see me like, you know, armbar escaping and tapping and doing stuff. So if I would be that guy that just like, you know, does this and then I'm claiming that you should explore, kind of like I'm not doing what I ask you to do, you know. So if I'm doing this, so they see me, you know, as good I am exploring and losing. And so I think that also forces that I have to be the guy that does this, and then I put my, I don't know, money where my mouth is or whatever. So and
students will naturally emulate their coach.
Yeah, so I don't mind losing. So it's like, and I think that I really enjoy that I found that style, so people can see it. It's not like, you know, I dominate. I enjoy really, you know, when somebody taps, I do it again. You know, I go in there again and try to figure it out, and then I get second tap, maybe fifth time I figure it out. You know, so I think that is also crucial for building the culture, that they see that leaders is actually, you know, doing that themselves, not just claiming that, you know, that you should do it. So I think is a culture. It's a very good thing.
What do you think about a partner's role in helping you develop? Should there be, so like your partner during a class? Obviously, you don't want someone stopping in coaching, but you could use. Do you think they should use certain words? Should they use certain actions to try to? We'll say a more experience with the beginner partner. Do you think their role should be to build them up as quickly as possible? And if so, how do you think they should go about that?
In a class or open mat?
A classroom setting.
Like you're coaching and they're partnered with a beginner. I guess you can manipulate with constraints what the advanced guy can do, or then let's say if it's a, I don't know, armbar class, let's say side control, maybe simple visual for listeners, or maybe just two of us because nobody would listen it. Let's say far arm side control armbar. So you could just like beginner, you could just start with basically straight armbar against the black belt, and get out, and I get my taps also, and then I give you maybe this and still, or I give you this and after straighten, whatever, I give it back so it's easier, and then you as a black belt start in open guard. You have to get to the armbar now. So I think there is a level that I'm not saying if you can even do that 10 times a row, then start in close guard or start already in submission in a triangle, get up, pass the guard, go to that goddamn armbar, and so you give yourself like all kinds of weird ways you're trapped, get out, and then go to the far. So I think I don't think that we should coach a lot beginners. We should still do, when it's a class settings, normal class.
I'll say what I mean by coaching. So I think like every coach has the ability to do this. Say it's a new person walks in the door, it's just you and them. You're not going to show them moves, right?
Okay.
You're just going to start grabbing them and be like, all right, try and get around my legs. And you're going to move and give them some challenge. They're going to try and get around your legs. You're going to stop them a little bit, give them some success, bring it back. I think that's a skill that I've seen good coaches be able to do. And in a very short time, I could make someone competent enough to give people good rounds, right? By the whole time we're rolling and moving and there's like just minimal feedback. So my thought is having my guys be able to do that a little bit better.
I'm for minimal feedback because you can always guide them, like we let people roll in the first class, like totally new people, they roll, but they roll to mount and back. They don't roll with submissions, and we have beginners and main group same time. So they can roll with main group guys, but then they're responsible. And every submission is allowed, but they're responsible. So they get a better idea of the context. It's easier for me to teach also why you need a half guard because they experience certain things. But amongst each other, they're all with mount and back. And so,
for how long do you have them doing that?
How?
For the mount and back, is that just the first class?
Yeah, but if they roll amongst each other in a beginner's course, it's always mount and back.
How long is the beginner's course?
20 classes.
Okay.
And they could just, they enjoy that and then they go there. Yeah, but I also force my guys to go there because I think everybody should learn know with beginners because you forget the beginner reaction sometimes. Yeah. It's for self-defense is good, you have to kind of protect yourself differently. So, but it's interesting, Gershon, you asked that because it is a skill to roll with beginner. And also it's a skill what to tell them, like elbows close or think about this. And so
I think without ever stopping them, the whole thing should be moving and I'm just directing and guiding them.
Yeah, but I think we have to establish what is the goal, let's say it's mount and back because they don't know anything. You just show this is where you go and this is where you go. Let's play. And then you kind of nudge them, I think. Yeah, so I agree with that. And I guess in a pause, when you have many rounds, you can tell them something, and see, like, because they always think, I think, it's like complex. Like, oh, no, you literally push my legs away. Is it that easy? Yeah, I do the same thing. I just better, but literally, there's the legs away. You come on, go mount. Legs in how do I get past? Take my legs, put there, go. And they think like some kind of magic should happen, because of the martial arts. And I think when they get past that, they're like literally, oh, but you're defending the mount, knees in a way. Well, push my knee away, take that space. And first I have to encourage them that they think there's some magic they don't know. But soon after even like a couple of rolls, maybe they understand it's physical, just pull, push, separate, and they can actually do it, So I think those ideas, giving them very early on also helps a little bit, like just first you roll, then some ideas, and they can already, like, they're not afraid to look stupid anymore, So you don't have to tell them like specifics, but just ideas that, no, it's mechanics, Nothing magical here. Just the complexity, I think it's crazy, but in essence, locally, very simple rules. Move those knees away,
I think that makes a lot of sense to people. It's, if you're fighting your brother, you want to sit on his chest.
Yeah.
Basically, that's a win, right?
And as soon as you show them that, it makes sense to them. That, yeah, because I've seen school fights when somebody held somebody down and then, behind your back, spit their face. It didn't happen because they gave up. But it was like, I've seen people,
That's the threat, that's the tap.
Yeah, they're like, I've seen some school fights like this, and it was a dominant position. And as weird as it is, fight went to the ground, they were held down. So if I show it, that's a win. Everybody gets it, whatever the memories they have, this is a good place. So it's like, you don't have to explain it why it's that.
And that explains why being on top is better too. the possible spit in the face.
Yeah, so I don't think the back stuff happened, if I remember the school fights, but yeah, like being like top and grabbing the head a little bit also because people have seen judo or whatever from, and then mount was that I remember.
We'll say like back mount makes sense, or the face down one, that makes a lot of sense.
But nobody knew how to choke anybody back in the day, school fights. But you could just punch somebody and then try to split their face.
Estonia is a strange place. A lot of spitting in street fights.
Yeah, I remember one fight in a school that was like the teachers couldn't get to soon enough, and there was like somebody held somebody down, and there was that. People were watching, and so one guy, I guess, verbally tapped or something.
I don't know if I saw a tap in a school fight before.
Yeah, maybe no, or something. I don't know what they were. I don't know what was like disagreement about, but yeah, somebody kind of gave up. So,
I guess another question. So, I would say perhaps over the last 6 months for me, my main focus has been on the metric improvement per minute. So every minute I'm trying to get as much out of it as possible for everyone in the room. So if I calculated in theory everyone's improvement per minute, then I could have a class average of improvement per minute. Of course, that's an estimation, but that sort of guides the way that I teach the class. It guides how long I speak for. It guides how much they roll. It guides everything.
Sounds stressful. So,
well, you see this, right?
I know. Yeah, I see the beard also. So, it's interesting. I agree with that. I don't think I'm that efficient because I know there was a game with Francesco and Kvan, the other Chile guy. Yeah, Kvan and Francesco. They were like comparing how they're also taking times, how much they speak in the class. I never had discipline yet to do it. So I know I could be more efficient, but also sometimes I think it's not about being efficient. It's also sometimes being a coach, and then you have to talk about the culture sometimes, and it's not only like, okay, work, win, lose.
Sure.
So in that sense, if it would be only per minute, then probably I could do more efficiently, but sometimes I have to be a coach also in that sense. Talk about the culture, what are we for, what are values.
Well,
but I understand what you mean.
I mean, improvement per minute would be stacked over time also.
Yeah.
So if you think, I need to give this 10-minute talk about why the culture has to be a certain way, perhaps that day's improvement per minute is slightly less.
Yeah, over the time. Yes. So in that sense, so it's not like you can't, one class would be like weird data. And you do some 10 minutes to improve actually overall the direction of the gym. Yes. So in that sense, I agree that I never thought about it, that it should be the most efficient. I think I give myself a wiggle room a little bit that I guess I will think about it more probably when you said it now. And will try to reflect on me more. But yeah, I agree with that's the job, culture, effectiveness, that's your job. That they spend an hour, in our case, hour and a half, they roll also. So they should get better, even in one class a bit also. And over time, yes. And what comes to over time, so I also agree that it's happening. I don't know if it's in our gym. I don't know if it's the most efficient, but we have had some weird things happen now on mat. So clearly that getting better by minute has, I don't know, skyrocketed, but we can really measure, but I think there's some room. But I never actually thought about it that this is my job, So that really try to find like ways to like take that space away, make it tighter more, not like just not be a coach, but maybe there's some more like, okay, minute here, minute there.
Well, it changed. We'll say for my kids' class, I used to have a longer warm up, and it looked perfect. The kids were all doing all the moves beautifully, like it was perfect. Took 10 minutes, something like this. Maybe by the time the whole warm up is finished, 15 minutes is gone. That's a quarter of my class. So it looked very good. So is it worth that? What did it give me? I feel like maybe they were a little bit tuned in. Okay, that might give me something, right? They're more ready to start the class. But I never seen any of those moves happen. They could all do a perfect sit out. I say sit out doesn't happen. They could all do a perfect double leg. The double leg never happened. So as an experiment, for a month, I dropped the long warm up. We do a very short warm up to get their body a little bit warm. Their kids are pretty warm anyway, I dropped that and we did the standing phase every single class for the 10 minutes that we would have been doing the warm up. After a month, the kids stand up significantly better. So the trade-off seemed to be they were got much better at a skill they could actually use in a fight or a match. Okay, they couldn't do the warm-up as beautiful anymore, but there's no competitions for that.
Yeah, kids even need less. Yeah, so I agree with that. So that's why we skipped warm up when CLA happened, and we have like another 10 minutes free time, and just I never without the CLA, I never thought that 10 minutes could be efficient to do something, but 10 minutes keeping your elbow away from your body, both of you can have 5 minutes. That is insane amount of time,
It's a lot of time.
keeping that elbow away from the body, and you fight it back. So I was like, because always like I had long classes. We do 2 hour classes before CLA, and sometimes 2 hour, 1 hour, 5 minutes because I took some time from sparring. I was that guy. It was still like we had the SPG methodology, so it was warm up, and it was like, let's say you start in a 1 hour, warm up 10 minutes, then technique 20 minutes and stuff trying. Then we did half an hour drilling, progressive resistance drilling. So it wasn't like out of your ass 3 techniques, and then we rolled. But still, that was good, But now it's like that 10 minutes is so long time for me, and I was just wasting time. But I couldn't believe that it can be efficient, because 10 minutes for a technique, I'm just explaining, and and they can't do it yet. So it was like I need more time. But with CLA, 5 minutes, it's even becomes maybe boring after that you want to change, and it's that efficient. So, and you can just pack so many things. Recently we had a club camp, CLA club camp. Francesco was there, Francesco Fonte, my guy I look up to what comes to CLA from Germany. He's in Hanau. And I did a class, half guard, butterfly half guard, inspired by Andris Brunovski's class. And then the amount of stuff we did in 1 hour, and we talked about it, Francesco, like it was insane. That we were doing the Choi bars, we were under the legs, we were doing X-card stuff and the balance stuff, and top person good balance and step out and
Sometimes
get front.
you check the time thinking, it's already that amount of time, there's still time left. Wow.
Yeah, we were off balancing stuff, and the amount of stuff actually you can do in 1 hour actually. And it wasn't like, whoa, I did the best class ever and nobody can do that. But I was like, I remember the time because it wasn't so, long time ago when we did other stuff. And just even 5 minutes, it's very impactful if you can get like shrink that time. So I will, now you make me think about it. So I hate it. So can I shrink even right now? So because it's like, I think it's a good responsibility that as a coach, like is
my job.
Yeah, is my class like minute by minute as efficient without the extra stress, like we talk about seconds,
Yeah.
So is it like, and can we like trim it even more, and why people are there, and so yeah, it's interesting. So yeah.
What was your quote to John Kavanagh back in the day?
Yeah, we're not here for jokes.
Not here for the jokes.
Yeah.
Your students might say, Priit, we're not here for the talking. We're not here for the jokes.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, obviously in my gym, I don't talk so much. It's like sometimes maybe there's something happened or something, and then I have to talk about it, but you can't just blabber every class. And but there's time to do that, and you have to use it. But just talking about every day about, the culture is kind of annoying also.
Yeah. I went through phases of that. I thought that's what I wanted. But you've got to be I thought I want perfect, everyone's got to be a perfect training partner. Imagine how great the gym would be. And the reality was no one was getting better. Everyone was a great training partner, but no one was getting better.
But also I find CLA, when you really like all the, sandbox and stuff, you give people idea why they do it. I think that also builds very interesting culture, that people working with each other, they're afraid to, and it just builds the culture. You don't talk about it like be a nice partner, but you give them what you do, find a way to lose, explore, and that already gives mutual respect. That you lost because you explored, I can do the same now, So it gives the allowance them to go around. If everything is about winning, and then you talk about being a nice partner, like, and they're always winning, it kind of goes against each other. The idea that you have to more emphasize all the speech, guys go slower. But I think the way, because like you said before, I don't know what class it was this week, that we learn by doing, so we can't talk about being a good partner. We have to do and learn, and that gives us more feedback how to be a good partner. You just emphasizing you be a good partner doesn't, it goes over the head. What is a good partner? So just like the winning condition and stuff, I think they guide them what I look for, you know, and how everything is set up. And
When
I
the
think
game is designed well, I think that happens, right?
Yeah,
There's
so
time when I've designed a bad game and it's been like, all right, something's off here.
yeah. So I think just again the doing is the one that then you can change behavior of people a little bit. So that talking about it endlessly just gets tiring for you and for them, I think. So
A good thing for me, or good and bad, I suppose, is because my classes are all translated. I take that into consideration. This translation time is killing my improvement per minute. So I've got to talk even less.
Yeah.
So they're like half as much as I would otherwise. So in some ways, I think it's made it good. I can get more concise exactly what I
it
want.
is your constraint. You know, you have to go like this. You know, you can't just blabber some philosophical thing that's because then you have to say it in their language because the meaning goes away when
lost
somebody
it.
translates because they're using their words also to not use your words, and so you can't just blabber and then just like do this, go, and that's it. You know.
So for the most part, it's just describing the actions that I want to happen or the rules.
Yeah. It's very clinical in that sense. I guess also you lose something because maybe, but you also have people talking English. You know, it's not like nobody understands your English, but it is like it's kind of interesting constraint that you have to learn the simplest way, like not fancy words, simplest way to explain what it is because you want to save time also because, and then you just can start and you want people to get it. You know. Yeah. So and also if you use probably some fancy words, then translator use some other words.
Sure, yeah.
And if you say like right, then it's very very hard to right and left. It's very hard to come up with new words. They actually will translate right and left. So you want that simplicity kind of, and so yeah. I don't know if I want that constraint, but when you have it, you know, I think when those things you learn to enjoy it also. That okay, this is my situation. Do I hate it or do I use it for my advantage? And if you do a couple of years, you develop like crazy precise language, you know?
Well, it has to be, otherwise the class would just be me talking and then them
Yeah.
translating.
So I even like, I'm not saying I envy you, but this constraint is useful. And then you said, you know, when you learn more Chinese and stuff, and it's just, you know, you learn to talk differently. I think it's just that skill over time is very useful to develop.
This is unprofessional on the podcast. Maybe you should check the time. Priit's flying out.
I don't have a phone.
Oh, even worse. Is that your phone there?
Yeah.
Oh, super unprofessional.
No, it was good.
3:30, what time you got to leave at?
It's not 30, so 45 would be taxi, maybe 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
4 o'clock to airport. Cool.
We can wrap it up. It's been a good chat. Some things for me to think about.
I really have enjoyed. I really have enjoyed this weekend. It's like it was a really good weekend.
It's always good having you here, and Priit will be coming back next year around the same time. So for you guys that came to the seminar, come along again. For you guys that didn't, you'll get to feel the other guys that did come, their armbar escapes, their scrambling.
Hopefully something. Hopefully it was less useful.
If not, it was 8 hours of no improvement per minute. Zero improvement per minute.
That would be sad. That would be sad.
I'll keep you posted. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, welcome.